Hello, it's me. It's Ceiling, and this card is in like what 2 weeks, something like that. We have got like a week with no UFC card, which kind of sucks. And so I just figured I'd drop the predictions early. I don't know if this is every fight on the card. Like I'll maybe make a community post if something else gets added to it. Um, so yeah, let's just start off because I'm very excited for this card. This fight, obviously, you guys know how excited I am. These two fights are great. I'm probably gonna do a breakdown of definitely the co-main. I'll do a breakdown of maybe the main event, an individual video, but I'm gonna give my take on them anyway. But starting off with Mairon Santos versus Mohamed Naimov. Now, if you guys saw my predictions for UFC 313, which got like a decent amount of views at least for this channel, you'd know I'm quite a big fan of Mairon Santos. I just like his style. He's a very like precise, sharp striker. I think training at Extreme Couture has kind of made him worse because in the Francis Marshall fight, which he arguably lost, he didn't really do much, and that's kind of what cost him. And it was definitely a similar thing with the Sadiq Youssef fight, which he did win, but it was pretty close. Now he took that fight on short notice at lightweight, and now he's going back down to featherweight, which is good because he was kind of a bit fat at lightweight. I don't think he suits that weight class. Whereas here against Naimov, he's fighting Naimov, who's pretty well rounded. Kind of prefers to keep things standing, but can grapple. Cheated his way to a win over Nathaniel Wood, and apart from that, he lost to Felipe Lima. He beat Bogdan Grad, who's okay, but it was competitive, and the Offley fight was very competitive. And this is my issue with Naimov, right? This isn't really a good win. This one, if he didn't cheat, he wouldn't have won. Jamie Malaki's terrible. Lost to Lima, who took the fight on short notice, and he's not even a featherweight. Very competitive fights here with two guys who I don't think are as good as Mairon Santos. And Mairon Santos smoked Khan Offley in a round. So I'm gonna go Mairon Santos here. I think he's actually got very good grappling defense. If you watch the Youssef fight, and he's quite strong. And I think he can slow the pace down here, use his teeps, use his jab, and look for counter shots. Because Naimov is also kind of open when he goes for like spinning attacks. So I'm gonna say Mairon Santos is gonna win a decision here. He could get the finish, but I'm gonna say decision. Mansur Abdul-Malik versus Antonio Trocoli. People only know Trocoli because he like either was or is like with Mackenzie Dern. I think they might have like divorced recently. I'm not sure. But I don't know. I don't really rate Antonio Trocoli. He's not very good. From what I remember, he just loses. Like, yeah, lost to Trey Shangor. And is that Abuz Magomedov? Yeah, these aren't really the best losses to have on your record. Like that's just not very good, is it? And Mansur Abdul-Malik, he's beat Brundage. He's beat. Who was the other guy he beat? I forgot. Look, I would know. Like I don't. Thing is, I don't want to click on this. If I will, but it's gonna take a while to load. Okay, Nick Kleinreich, and he beat Dusko Tudorovic, who aren't the best, but like they're pretty good. And I think Brundage is better than Trocoli, so I'm gonna say Mansur Abdul-Malik is gonna win by TKO in the first round. Iwo Baraniewski versus Ibo Aslan. Now, Ibo Aslan, when he first came into the UFC, was considered a prospect. But the thing is, he beat Sakara, which isn't great, and then he lost to Iron Kutalaba, and then Billy Elikana, which wasn't a good fight. But Billy Elikana kind of just beat him clearly, and Elikana's good, Kutalaba's decent. Iwo Baraniewski is one of he's like 6-0, I think. He's one of these Polish regional guys. He won on the Contender Series, and I'm going to trust him to get this done. Just the momentum, the prospect. I don't know much about him, so I'm just going to... This is kind of a dumb pick, but I'm just going to go with this guy to win. Edson Barboza versus Jalin Turner. I think Edson could get this done, but Jalin Turner is underrated. I know he lost his last fight and he technically retired, but then came back. But he lost by submission to Bahamondes. And Edson Barboza isn't going to submit you off his back, right? I think Prime Barboza is beating up Jalin Turner, but currently he's a bit slower. Bit easier to hurt, not as powerful, I don't think. And I'm going to go with Jalin Turner, and he's been at featherweight too. I'm going to go with Jalin Turner by TKO in the second round. I think the range, the power, the athleticism, and he's a pretty good striker. I think he'll be able to get it done. He's very big for the weight class too. So Jalin Turner. Marvin Vettori versus Bruno Ferreira. Look, my issue with Marvin Vettori is he might have a great chin and he's tough, but he's just not very good. Like, he's not really skilled anyway. He's a very basic fighter. So, whereas Bruno Ferreira, have they spelled his name wrong here? Does it have two N's in it? I don't know, but Bruno Ferreira is actually quite skilled. His striking's decent. He's powerful, and he's got underrated jiu-jitsu, a very good submission game. Who did he submit? I watched him submit someone like live. Yeah, Armin Petrosian, and he lost to Abus, but Abus is decent, you know. I don't know if Abus would beat Vettori at this point just because of the cardio, but I also think Bruno Ferreira has looked a lot better since then. I know Jackson McVeigh isn't a great win, and neither is Armin Petrosian, but I feel like if you can be really skilled in one area and do more than just 1-1-2, then you can beat like Marvin Vettori right now. He hasn't looked very good. So I'm gonna go Bruno Ferreira by decision, but he could lose this. But I'm gonna say with Bruno Ferreira, we'll get this one done. Now this is the main prelims. I think this must be the full card, right? But Nazim Sadykhov versus Ziam. Now, a lot of people are getting behind Nazim Sadykhov. He's a pretty good striker, decently well-rounded. But when I watched his last fight with Nicholas Motta, although he got the finish, he also almost got finished himself against the cage by Nicholas Motta, who's okay, but not the best. And it was a scrap. And then he beat Ismail Bonfim, but Ismail Bonfim also isn't the best, and he just got finished by Chris Padilla. And draw with Borshev. Borshev is not very good. And I know he beat Terrance McKinney, but McKinney, I wouldn't say McKinney's bad, but he's not the best. You know, these aren't really impressive wins, right? Like a lot of people have finished Terrance McKinney. For Ziam, sorry, he's kind of turned around his career. Like, he's been looking really good recently. The what's his name? Mike Davis win. Mike Davis is very good. He's very underrated, and most of his losses are only to good guys. I'm pretty sure Mike Davis lost to Gilbert Burns, and I think he has another loss. I don't know. This guy beat Claudio Puelles too, which is air. But I think he's improved a lot, and the Frivola KO was very impressive. Jai Herbert too, pretty good. I don't know who Figlock is. I think this guy has changed since the McKinney loss, and he's gotten a lot better. So I actually rate for Ziam, and I'm going to say he takes this by decision. He used to be not very good, but he's quite good now. So I'm going to say for Ziam wins this. Maycee Barber versus Karine Silva. I think this is kind of clearly, this isn't one I have to think about that much. I'm going to go with Maycee Barber decision here. Karine Silva, she's okay, but she did like recently lose to Viviane Araújo. Whereas Maycee Barber is a legit top 5 women's fighter. Sermonera, not a great win, but Amanda Ribas is very legit. I don't know, Andrea Lee also isn't great. Jessica Eyes, you know, so her wins, a lot of her wins are kind of mid. Maverick's not bad. Neither's Montana De La Rosa, but a lot of her wins are kind of mid. However, I really rate a KO over Amanda Ribas in this division, even though Amanda Ribas hasn't looked the best recently. That was kind of when she was in her prime. And I think she's quite a bit better than Viviane Araújo. And also, I think, who was the other girl Karine Silva recently? Was it like Barboza? Was that her name? Yeah. Voice crack. But yes, I think she's a lot better than her. So I'm going to go Maycee Barber winning a decision. Terrance McKinney versus Chris Duncan. I've got Chris Duncan here. I rate Chris Duncan very highly. He's coming off a win over Rebecca. A very competitive fight it was, but he won and he actually outstruck Rebecca. And he's also a great grappler, and he submitted Jordan Vucenic, who himself is a good grappler. I know he's been cut from the UFC, but he got cut because of this fight. And before that, he did well against Garam on short notice, which is there, but Chris Duncan is good. I rate him. I didn't think he was going to beat Rebecca, and he did. He's actually quite powerful on the feet, even though he's slow. He's good at landing stuff, so he could also catch McKinney, and I think he's going to be able to out-grapple him too. So I'm going to actually say Chris Duncan will submit Terrance McKinney in the second round. Even though McKinney's been looking decent recently, I'm just going to go Chris Duncan because I think he's better than Borshev, who was McKinney's last win. Grant Dawson and Manuel Torres. This is one that a pick I have that's very controversial because Grant Dawson has looked great recently. And he did TKO Carlos Diego Ferreira. Oh no, he didn't TKO him, but he dominated him. And he beat Rafa Garcia, which is a pretty good win. And he's Joe Solecki's he's been putting together a little bit of a streak. But what happened before that? He got knocked out by a jab from Bobby Green. And that was a good version of Bobby Green, but Manuel Torres is an athletic freak. He's very athletic and he's very powerful and fast. And although he kind of got schooled on the feet by Bahamondes and shown levels a little bit, Bahamondes is a much better striker and a much rangier striker than Grant Dawson. And I think this reminds me a bit of Beneil Dariush versus BSD. Like, yes, on paper Grant Dawson should be able to take down and out-grapple Manuel Torres, but Manuel Torres can catch Grant Dawson on the feet. He can catch him coming in. He can catch him at range. And look, Drew Dober has a very good chin and very good recovery, and Manuel Torres just smoked him easily in his last fight. So I'm going to go Manuel Torres by KO in the first round. Main card. This is a great main card, guys. I love it. I don't think this is like I think this is a good card. I don't think it's like close to the best of the year. It might have been 322. 314 was good. 370. We've had some good cards. It was probably 322, honestly. But this is still pretty good. I like all these fights. I'm very interested in some of them. I have a lot to say about a few of them. But Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Guskov. Look, Jan Blachowicz has looked quite old. He's looked quite slow recently. However, the Allberg fight was very, very close. That was a razor close fight. I honestly thought Jan Blachowicz probably won. So he didn't look bad. He just looked worse than usual, and that's because he's older. Bogdan Guskov, although he's good, don't get me wrong, he's good. Krylov was coming off a bad KO loss to Reyes, and his defense just isn't very good. Elikana, he won by sub, but Elikana took it on short notice as his debut. Ryan Spann is pretty good. No, he's not, actually. Ryan Spann sucks. And apart from that, Zach Pauga? I'm pretty sure this guy got knocked out by Mohamed Usman. I might be thinking of someone else, but I think he did. And a loss to Ozdemir by sub. Jan actually does have a submission game. He has a submission win on his record. Maybe more than just one. He has submission wins. But no, I'm going with Jan Blachowicz, guys. I think he might be past his prime, but he still kind of has it. He's very crafty. He's still got the Polish power. He's a simple but effective striker, and I think Carlos Allberg, in a fight that he could have won, is a lot better than Bogdan Guskov, and a lot better than Krylov and all these guys that Guskov's beaten. So I'm going to say Jan Blachowicz wins a decision here. I think in his prime he's finishing Guskov, but I'm going to go decision in this one. I think there's a reason he took this matchup, and he can beat Guskov. Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbot. I just want to say, why is this fight happening? Peyton Talbot called out Adrian Yanez. That made sense, right? Peyton Talbot lost to Raoni Barcelos, got dominated by Raoni Barcelos. Raoni Barcelos has fought twice since then and won, and not got a ranked opponent. And Peyton Talbot, and they probably won't give him a ranked opponent in his next fight, I won't even lie. They probably won't do that. And Peyton Talbot has got one win in an iffy performance where Felipe Lima fought very dumb, and Peyton Talbot kind of just reversed a couple grappling attempts and did some damage with ground and pound, and kind of got outstruck actually on the feet in a lot of moments, lost the first round. And he's just getting number 10 ranked Henry Cejudo. I know a lot of people are picking Peyton Talbot because of, I guess, momentum, although he's on a 1-fight win streak, but Henry Cejudo is on a 3-fight losing streak. However, guys, I want you to let's take a look at Henry Cejudo's losses here, okay? So obviously we've got, the big streak he went on here, and then he takes a break of 3 years, and it's time to fight Aljamain Sterling. Split decision. I thought Sterling won pretty clearly, but it was very, very close. It was very close. And Aljamain Sterling is miles better than Peyton Talbot. Merab. Although Merab won the last 2 rounds clearly, the first round Henry Cejudo rocked him on the feet, and he was doing very well, and he gassed. Do you know what Merab would do to Peyton Talbot? It would actually be like scary to watch what Merab would do to Peyton Talbot. He would destroy him. Song Yadong, who I also think would probably knock out Peyton Talbot. Although he won, Henry Cejudo was making it very competitive and doing very, very well up until the eye poke that Song landed. That actually maybe even won him the third round, because Henry Cejudo was obviously hindered in that third round after the eye poke, and then it obviously gets turned into a 3-rounder, and Song wins on the scorecards. Henry Cejudo could have won the second round of that fight. So Henry Cejudo is, even though he's past his prime, I do think that he's past his prime. He's still got it. Henry Cejudo's still got it. Peyton Talbot, I want you guys to take a look at Peyton Talbot's career and his. I don't know why there's no like fighter thing for him, but let's have a look at his wins, okay? Nick Aguirre, who by the way was actually doing very well and out wrestling Peyton Talbot, and then he kind of gassed out and got submitted. Cameron Simon, not very good. I'll just say that. I mean, Cameron Simon was kind of a prospect, I guess, at one point in his career, and then he got fraud checked by Christian Rodriguez, and then Peyton Talbot KO'd him, and then Wellmaker, who's just lost to a guy on short notice, beat him. And look, Simon doesn't really have any good wins, does he? And then what? Yanis Gamori. Yanis Gamori is awful. I mean, okay, you knocked out Yanis Gamori. Like, he's terrible, okay? Dominated by Raoni Barcelos, 30-26. Who is good, he's crafty. But I think Cejudo would beat Barcelos. And then beats Lima in a pretty competitive fight where Lima was not doing the best. I mean, Lima's beat Miles Johns, and that's it. And I guess, yeah, he beat Naimov up a weight class on short notice, which is impressive, but, lighter man skill and all that. Look, I think Talbot's good, but I think he's very, very overrated. And Henry Cejudo's still got it. And I think Henry Cejudo, he will, like, this is different to reversing takedowns on Lima. This is reversing. You're going to have to reverse takedowns. And by the way, I know Henry will shoot takedowns here. He hasn't done it before on a lot of guys, but here, like, we've seen Talbot get dominated in the grappling by Raoni Barcelos. Henry Cejudo is going to shoot takedowns here, and he'll get them. I don't see Talbot being able to reverse him or out-wrestle him. And I think I outstrike Peyton Talbot as well. Like, Henry Cejudo is, like, I think doing well on the feet against Song Yadong and making it close and competitive against Song Yadong on the feet is more impressive than outstriking Yanis Gamori and Cameron Simon. And I guess Lima, but even then, the Lima fight he kind of won from, like, moments where Lima would shoot takedowns and Talbot would reverse him and get on top and land ground and pound. Lima probably won the first round standing, or at least that's what I thought when I watched it live. So I'm going to go Henry Cejudo. I'm going to say decision. I don't think he's... Like, I think Talbot has quite a good chin from some of the shots I saw Barcelos landing on him. I think he has a decent chin. I think he can not get KO'd here, although his lack of head movement could change that. And also, Cejudo isn't the most powerful. If you look at his KO wins, it's like a drained TJ Dillashaw. It's a Dominic Cruz coming off a massive layoff who took the fight on like a week's notice. But still, yeah, I'm going to go Henry Cejudo decision. I think it's pretty clear. I think you're kind of delusional if you're picking Talbot. Moving on to a fight where I think the people who are picking one side are also delusional. The people who are going to call me delusional, because you guys know Brandon Moreno is my second favourite fighter on the roster. He's my favourite flyweight of all time. Guys, I love Brandon Moreno. This guy is... I don't know why it says 135 here for weight. That's weird. I don't know. The Urseg fight was at 125. But maybe it's just why he's at now. I don't know. Brandon Moreno is going to have a generational performance over Taira. You know what? I saw Warhorse. Was it Warhorse MMA? Warhorse MMA said he was going to pick Taira. I saw MMA experts pick Taira. I seen Left Lane MMA say Taira's going to win. And I have a feeling like Guru and Bedtime are probably going to pick Tatsuro Taira. If Lucas Tracy comes back, he might pick Moreno. I don't know about a bunch of the others. It might just be me against all of MMA YouTube. All of MMA YouTube. I'm picking Brandon Moreno. And why aren't you? What if you're watching this, if anyone watches this, why aren't you picking Brandon Moreno? Tatsuro Taira. By the way, people are acting like he's improved. Let's have a look at Tatsuro Taira's career. So we're coming up the rankings, you know. And I will say Shiraz is a pretty good win. But once again, these are guys who Brandon Moreno is demolishing. Okay. Alex Perez. It wasn't a KO. He didn't knock him out on the feet. He like caused an injury on Perez with some weird trip he did. I don't even know if it was intentional or if Alex Perez just blew out his knee anyway. But Alex Perez just lost. But whatever. Once again, you like Brandon Moreno demolishes Alex Perez. We know this, right? Royval lost a split to Royval. Okay, so did Moreno, but Moreno has a much better argument for beating Royval than Taira. I mean, Taira, it shouldn't have been a split decision. He clearly lost 3-2. Whereas Moreno, there's an argument for him to win, and it was at altitude, where Royval, the guy who trains at altitude, is at an advantage, which is why he arguably won the last 3 rounds and still arguably could have lost. And then he comes back and he beats a short notice Hyun-Sung Park, who I know was preparing for a fight with Urseg, but you know he accepted the Urseg fight like a few days before he accepted the Taira fight. So it was still short notice. It was still like under 2 weeks notice that he fought Tatsuro Taira on. And Hyun-Sung Park just got fraud checked and destroyed by Brunno Silva. You know? I mean, I picked him to beat Brunno Silva because Brunno Silva was coming off 2 of the most dominant losses in flyweight history, where he got destroyed by Manel Kape and Joshua Van. And he still lost and got dominated by Brunno Silva. This is not a good win. This is not a win that dropping Hyun-Sung Park on the feet and subbing him is going to tell me, oh my goodness, he's a world beater now. He's going to beat Brandon Moreno, the guy who, okay, I know Amir Albazi's not the best, but Amir Albazi's better than Hyun-Sung Park, okay? Amir Albazi would probably beat Brunno Silva. Okay, I know Steve Urseg hasn't been looking the best recently, but let's think about Steve Urseg. Knockout loss to Kai Kara-France, okay. Kai Kara-France is a bad matchup for him. I will say that. Very close decision with Pantoja, the fight before that. Okay, Steve Urseg is better than anyone Taira has beaten. And I don't think you can debate that. Steve Urseg would beat Alex Perez. I know that might be controversial, but he would. And before that, what? Okay, the loss to Royval, which I've gone over, and I've said, okay, Moreno arguably could have won. It was at altitude. He fought pretty hesitantly, and since then he took a break and came back looking better than ever. Okay, before that, Pantoja, split decision loss to Pantoja. I thought Pantoja won that fight, but it was very, very close with Pantoja, and he had a broken hand in the first round. And I'm not even going to use that as an excuse, but everyone gives Umar that excuse against Merab. No one gives Moreno the excuse against Pantoja. Okay, and before that, what was Brandon Moreno doing in his career? This was probably before Taira was even like in the UFC. Beating Figueiredo, finishing Kai Kara-France, beating Figueiredo in the second fight, drawing with Figueiredo in the first fight. There was a deserved point deduction. It should have been a draw. Royval, you know, Brandon Moreno has all the experience here over Tatsuro Taira. He's kind of slowed down in fight. I mean, he slowed down against Royval in 5 rounders, right? This I think the 3 rounders is going to be good for him. Maybe it'll backfire and he'll be like, you know, willing to give up rounds because he's used to not caring about giving up like 2 rounds in 5 rounders. But he knows what a 3 rounder is here, guys. And let me tell you, I haven't even got to the styles. I've just been talking about experience. But okay, on the feet, Tatsuro Taira has like a good right hand, decent straight punches. That's it though. Brandon Moreno has one of the best jabs in the sport. His overhand is also one of the best in the sport. Great body shot, good left hook. Leg kicks are amazing. They're always switching people's stances. Obviously, we know he has a great body kick. Since, you know, he's literally the last guy in top 5 level MMA to get a body shot finish. Head kicks too. He's dropping people with head kicks. If you watch the Dustin Ortiz fight, Dustin Ortiz is decent, by the way, and that's just the striking. And his chin's really good. I don't see Taira really hurting him on the feet. I mean, Brandon Moreno is training boxing all the time, right? He's training with boxers, and he's also honing his striking for MMA, and he's shown that he's very good at that. I don't think Taira making some improvements in his striking is going to do much. And in the grappling, that's where Taira, I guess he should have the advantage. But then you got to remember, hold on, Brandon Moreno, what did he do? Submitted Prime Figueiredo and then out-grappled him in the 4th fight. Competitive on the ground with Pantoja, was escaping Pantoja on his back. Pantoja is a better chain wrestler than Taira. He's better at getting people down. And he's better at having back control. I know Taira has shown he's very good at getting the back. But Pantoja is even when he gets on the back, he's subbing these people easily. And he's having Kai Kara-France's back for the whole of round 1. And he subbed Royval even though Taira, was just on his back, right? And Ravel actually took Taira's back in the 5th round, guys. Look, also, Brandon Moreno trains with Maycee Musumeci. I just want to say that they train at the same gym. They train together all the time. You see pictures of it. You don't think that's going to help in his camp, having maybe like one of the best no-gi grapplers in the world in his camp when he's training for a jiu-jitsu guy? What do I even need to say, guys? Brandon Moreno is winning a decision here, 30-27. Taira has a good chin, so I don't think he's going to get finished. Brandon Moreno, 30-27 decision. Easy. You guys are going to be surprised at how dominant this is, okay? Will this... this could backfire on me badly, but I don't care. I'm going all in. And this fight has been pissing me off the way people are talking about it. Anyway. Okay. That was my rant. Co-main event. Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van. Joshua Van is my boy. I love watching this guy fight. He's super entertaining. Super skilled on the feet. Good defensive grappling. That being said, I'm going with Pantoja. I saw Bedtime is going with Van. I'm pretty sure Kenny Okoye is saying Joshua Van's going to win. I expect Left Lane to pick Joshua Van because Left Lane says that Pantoja is his favourite fighter, but he has Van in his channel banner. And he glazes Joshua Van way more than he's ever glazed Pantoja. Look, Van looked great against Royval. But this is a different style of fighter. Joshua Van, first, I think to beat Pantoja, you need to have physicality that matches or exceeds his, kind of like Figgy did. Although I think prime for prime, Pantoja is beating Figgy. Van is pretty small for this weight class. He doesn't really have the physicality. Pantoja's chin is amazing. I think Van maybe could rock him on the feet, but I don't think he's going to finish him. I don't think he's going to hurt him badly. I keep voice cracking, guys. And yeah, he doesn't have the physicality. MMA Guru has brought up a point of this. Joshua Van has 5 or 6 years of MMA experience. That's going to show when Pantoja's on his back. And he will get the back. His chain wrestling is maybe the best in the game. He chains together takedowns so well. He's so good at getting to the back. And I was just glazing Brandon Moreno's grappling. Pantoja out-grappled this guy clearly, and Brandon Moreno is a way better, more proven grappler than Van. I know Van has good sprawls, but the people who's he's sprawling takedowns from Brunno Silva and Ray Saruya. Decent grapplers. Ray Saruya has a good wrestling base, although Japanese wrestling might not be as good as we think it is. I mean, Rinya Nakamura got a fraud checked by Mu and Gaffarov. And he's meant to be this big Japanese wrestler. And Ray Saruya was shooting just single legs, just double legs, not chaining together any takedowns, so Van's able to sprawl it. And he did actually get taken down. He got thrown by Ray Saruya. And Pantoja's going to be going for throws. He's going to be going for body locks. He's going to be chaining together these takedowns. When he gets sprawled on, he'll just keep going. And he's a lot stronger than Van. I think he's going to be able to muscle him around. So I'm going to say he may drop around from getting maybe tagged up on the feet a bit, but I'm going to say Pantoja is going to sub Joshua Van in the 2nd round. That's my official prediction. I think Kai Kara-France is a much bigger 125er than Van, and more proven with his defensive grappling. Was it Askarov? Kai Kara-France kind of shut down the grappling of Askarov, right? And it was Askarov, right? That was his name. And he was very underrated and very good in his prime, even though he also should have lost to Brandon Moreno when they fought. That shouldn't have been a draw. But yeah, I'm going to go Pantoja by submission. I think this is a pretty clear prediction. Main event. Look, guys, you guys know I have Yan in my channel banner. He's my favourite bantamweight ever. I love Petr Yan, man. This guy is such a cool fighter to watch. Honestly, even if he loses this fight, you guys need to go watch some Petr Yan highlights. Obviously you probably have if you're watching an MMA YouTube video. Petr Yan he's just one of the coolest fighters of all time. I'm not picking him to win though. Look, maybe this being Merab's 4th fight in the year could take a toll on him. But he's just been getting better. I mean, he already beat Yan, and I know Yan was injured and stuff, but I'm pretty sure Merab was injured too, and he 5-0'd him. And this is the thing with Yan's style. It's even though Yan has kind of changed, so now he has a longer guard, he still does do this thing where he'll cover up or he'll try and defend, then look for a counter when you strike against him. And that's the thing. Merab knows how to beat Yan. He just goes in, punch. Yan covers up or defends. Merab immediately shoots, and he can do this for 5 rounds. He can shoot trillions of times for 5 rounds. So I'm gonna go Merab by decision 5-0, and it's maybe 49-46. I don't know, and it sucks to say that because Petr Yan is one of my favorite fighters, but yeah, I think Merab wins this, and I think when he wins this, if he wins this, because Yan has a chance, I guess, but Yan doesn't have finishing ability. That's the issue. I think you need to finish Merab to beat him. And even guys with O'Malley who have more finishing, guys like O'Malley with more finishing ability than Yan have not been able to beat Merab. I think if Merab wins this, that's 4 title defenses in a year. He should be fighter of the year over Islam Makhachev, and he should also probably go up to pound for pound number 1. But at the very least, he should go above Ilia Topuria in the pound for pound rankings. And I would say he should go above Islam, just because 4 title defenses in a year has never been seen before, and it's all against elite levels of competition. But yeah, that's a pretty simple fight for me. So in conclusion, we're going with Merab, Pantoja, Moreno, Cejudo, Blachowicz, Torres, Duncan, Barber, Ziam, Ferreira, Jalin Turner, Iwo, because I'm not saying his last name, Mansur, and Mairon Santos. That's the card, lads. That's what I'm gonna say for my predictions here. This could age badly. Hopefully not. In a bit, lads.